Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trail Pass. So now there's a brand new Can-Am Outlander out, and it's ditching what we love, the Rotax V Twin. Now, before we get all up in arms about this, it is just the 500 and the 700cc models. The 850 and the 1000 received minor updates for 2023, mainly some LED headlight pods, but the 500 and the 700 are replacing our favorite four-wheelers and honestly a big chunk of their sales, which is that 500 class and 600 class. Now, the 450 was a single cylinder 38 horsepower machine. And then jumping up to the 570, it was the fan favorite Rotax V Twin 48 horsepower engine. And that 570 is a powerhouse for the class. And again, a real fun to ride machine, especially compared to the competition. But again, those vehicles are going away and they're replaced by the all new Outlander 500 and 700 models, as well as the Outlander Pro, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Now, generally, when talking about a high performance North American four wheeler, there's really two big brands that come to mind. Obviously, Can Am Outlander and the Polaris Sportsman, and they've been going head to head, back and forth for a long time. And they both had a 450cc Sportsman and Outlander and a 570cc Sportsman and Outlander. But now it looks like Can-Am is trying to ditch Polaris for their entry models and compete with the Japanese manufacturers, which is a really interesting choice. So that competition includes the Yamaha Kodiak and Yamaha Grizzly, as well as the Suzuki King Quad 500 and 700. So looking back and forth here at some of the specs, it looks like Can-Am went straight down the category here and tried to one-up Suzuki and Yamaha in every category. So they're going higher in payload capacity on the front and rear rack, as well as towing. But they're also going up in horsepower, but in a kind of unique way. So I mentioned there's a new Outlander 500 and 700. However, both of those models actually use more or less the same engine. It's a 649cc single cylinder. It's actually canted toward the rear of the machine instead of leaning forward, very similar to what Arctic Cat is doing now with the new Altera 600. But with the new Outlander 500 and 700, they do have different horsepower and they do compete in two separate classes. So the 500 makes roughly 40 horsepower, they're saying, with kind of a detuned version of that 649cc single, as well as a more mild cam. Now, when you jump up to the 700 machine now, you do get, again, a little bit different cam profile, as well as a bigger tune to get that extra 10 horsepower. However, the majority of the chassis still stays the same, but it ditches a lot of the features that we've come to know and love with these Gen 2 Outlanders, namely the trailing arm suspension. That's all gone now and does have front and rear double A-arm suspension. But they also increased the storage on the machine. So depending on which model you buy and which trim level, you can actually get a glove box between the rider's knees, just between the rider and the handlebars, which is very, very similar to the way Yamaha does their glove box on the Kodiak and Grizzly, which I think is a really nice at-hand storage option, whether you're out on the trails or working around the house. I do really, really like that. But they also added some dry storage in the front rack, and the rear rack looks like it dips down a little bit and almost has like a bin type storage instead of a perfectly flat rack. Now, with these new models, it does build on the Outlander L's metal racks. They are changed a little bit, and it sounds like they do have a whole new version of link accessories for these new machines, but they are still building off that metal rack setup, which I know a lot of people for looking for a utility four-wheeler are really excited about those metal racks. They seems to be a pretty durable option and a really, really versatile option as well, which I think is really nice. Now, also talking about utility, for the four-wheeler that I think is very, very interesting here, and an Outlander that hasn't been made in a long, long time, is actually a two-wheel drive Outlander 500. So the main competition there is definitely pointed right at Honda. That Rancher two-wheel drive solid rear axle machine is a very, very common model, priced just below $6,000. And Can-Am's 500 two-wheel drive is priced right at $6,000, which I think is really interesting. However, again, comparing specs to specs and comparing a mid-size chassis four-wheeler to a full-size chassis four-wheeler, the full-size being the Outlander, it looks like the Outlander should handily beat it going down the spec sheet, which I think is really, really interesting. Now, some other options that they are talking about here, since they are going to the single cylinder setup, it allows them to do a couple different things. A much more narrow midsection and narrow seat area, and expanding the footwells. They're also talking about an improved shifter and a speed limiter function, as well as the intelligent throttle control and intelligent engine braking that they have had on some larger Outlanders in the past. So again, it looks like they're really marketing this thing towards a utility focused Outlander instead of maybe a trail focused Outlander. Now, if you're looking for a machine that's even more utility focused, they are offering now the Can-Am Outlander Pro Edition. And basically what that does is build off of the already very utility focused 500 and 700, but they do make some different changes for the Pro. Now, it does share the all new bodywork and the all new single cylinder engine, but it does have what they're calling a lower low range, work tuned suspension, and work tuned clutching with that P drive unit. So it's seeming like they're really trying to make it even more utility focused. And it does come at a little bit of a price premium, but it may be a great option for some of you looking for an even more hardcore working four-wheeler. Now, looking at some things I'm not so fond of with this new unit. Again, it's kind of confusing and it's not really able to be compared with the old Outlander L models, even though they are replacing them because they are ditching that Rotax V-twin. And I know that was really a favorite, especially for the price point with that 570 Rotax in the old Outlander L models. At 48 horsepower and with that V-twin, definitely out-torqued anything else in the category. And it may have come across a little bit high-strung and a little bit sporty for the category, but was definitely a joy to ride on the trails. And I really, really like that engine. I know a lot of you did as well. But as for me and my Outlander 650, again, if you've been following the channel, you know this is a pretty new machine to me. I've only had it for a couple months. Just did a complete build on it. A video on that will be coming very soon, but I don't plan on getting rid of this anytime soon. Again, if you watch my earlier videos with this machine, I touch on it, but the reason I bought this is because I was not too interested in the 850 and 1000s and relying on that intelligent throttle control to dumb it down enough to my rider level. The 650 is a very, very manageable size engine, and I really, really like it. It's known for its smoothness. It's known for its longevity. This engine's been out for a long, long time with only minor changes, so it should be a very, very reliable machine. But this is honestly, in my eyes, kind of a perfect four-wheeler. It doesn't have a lot of the electronics. It has a very tried and true engine, but it does have Can-Am's trailing arm suspension, which I absolutely love on the trails. So I think this machine will be sticking around for quite some time. I do really, really like it. And until a whole new Gen 3 Outlander comes out for the big bores, I think this one will probably be sticking around for me. So let me know what you think in the comment section. What machine do you ride now? And does the new Outlander 500 or 700 really appeal to you? And are you trading your machine in for one of those? Really interested to hear your thoughts. Again, drop that down in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed this video and liked our kind of casual conversation about these new models, definitely hit the like button and subscribe. I really appreciate the feedback, and a lot more Can-Am content is coming at you very soon. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.